All right, let's start with parts.
Parts margin. Okay, so there's a number of different parts that we talk about in the parts margin. And before I get to that, I want to talk about why parts margin is the easiest margin to load. Now, I talked about being locked and loaded and a gun reference when we talked about labor. This is the easiest one to set up because what you can set up is a pricing matrix. So that when you look up a part from your jobber, and maybe you've looked it up from Napa, and it tells you it's a $10 part, and you set it up so that if it's $10 and it's a mechanical part, that it has a set price that it should be charging out. Can we have a look at the pricing matrix for a sec?
This is an example here. So the easiest one is if you're charging if the part costs $150, you would charge
50% margin. It's not a markup. Please don't confuse this with markup. It's margin. And the way you calculate margin is your gross profit divided by your sales. And so if it was a $150 part, you'd sell it, or if it was a $150 part, you'd sell it for $300.
And Alan, would you
go ahead later.
Would you charge the same matrix on all your parts, or is this going to be some
Great question. So different parts have different matrix. This is for your aftermarket parts. So let's go to the next slide if we could, Nader. So you can't get 50% on tires. I wish you could. I would have stayed in the tire business if I could have. And I didn't leave it, but I just made it not as much of a focus. So tires, you look at about 20 to 30% margin based on your market. And you'll know what sort of competition you'll have on that. And 20 to 30% margin. Batteries have a 35 to 40% margin. Dealer parts, this one's a tough one. It depends on how tight it is in your town, but usually above 35% is where I want you located. Realize the dealer does not want you to be profitable, and you're his direct competition. So he's gonna try to make it so that he has a very low list price on his parts, and realize the dealership in your locale can set that wherever they want. And then they'll set a very tight margin because they don't want you to make money.
Right. So Alan, are you saying you're going to price higher than the list price sometimes?
Yes, I am. I mean, I want you to base your list price based on your cost. And that's why when you set it up in your system, you have a pricing matrix. So it knows what department this is coming from, and therefore it sets the list price on what it should be. And then your jobber parts should be at a 50 to 60% margin. Once you start to load this in, this makes such a difference. Let's go back, if we could, and look at your parts margin. So parts margin is, you want it to be anywhere, a good margin is above 50%, and a great margin is above 55%. And this should be locked and loaded. Once you fix this, it's a game changer because it'll stay there. And you just have to get pricing discipline and no discounting.